How you pronounce it?
My last name?
Yes.
It's Aviles,
Aviles. Thank you.
Avile.
Perfect. Now that everyone's here, we'll go ahead and get started. Family, students, thank you for being here. This wonderful event is sponsored by Pasadena Unified. Thank you all to all the staff that helped gather us here today, as well as the Pasadena Tournament of Roses. Thank you, especially Evan, who's on this call. I know she's the one who reached out to all the panelists. So thank you, Evan, for all your coordination and stepping in the right direction as well for their membership and reaching out to panel members as well. Thank you so much. At this time, I'm going to turn everything over to Dr. Lawton Gray. He is an alum of Morehouse, as well as the principal of John Muir Early College Magnet. So Dr. Gray, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Turley. I'm so thankful for all of you being here this afternoon to hear more about HSIs and HBCUs. Really quickly, HBCUs are important academic institutions that have served as the center of some pivotal historical moments, produced some amazing leaders and celebrities, and have served as a home for many to find themselves and pride in their heritage. HSIs, Hispanic serving institutions, such as Cal State LA, have served as the center of learning for some Latinx pioneers. The alum and current students that you hear from today will speak about their experiences that I'm sure will drive this point home. Really quick, you heard about myself. I went to Elliott Middle School and a graduate of John Muir High School in Pasadena, and then I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. I left there and came back to work at PHS, and then I taught there for many years. I got my master's and my doctorate from University of Southern California, and now I'm principal at John Muir, so I'm so happy to be here. But enough about myself. We have some great panel members that are going to talk to you about their experiences, and I just want to have them take about 3 minutes each, and you're going to state your name, where you graduated from, the college and university you attended, your major, and what you're doing in your career right now. And if you grew up in the Pasadena Unified School District, give a shout out to your home school. So we're going to start first with Will Sims with his introduction. So Mr. Sims.
Good afternoon. Let me begin by saying it's always a pleasure to be with you all, especially Mustangs. I am and forever will be a John Muir Mustang. I am a graduate of Clark Atlanta University, where I majored in mass communications with a focus in public relations. I went on to get a master's degree at Cal State Northridge, and I'm finishing my doctorate in education at the University of Southern California. I have the wonderful honor of serving as the dean of the non-credit division at Pasadena City College, and also being the person who manages the Northwest campus, which is housed at John Muir High School. So I'm a Dina kid through and through, also a member of the greatest fraternity in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And so we love all of our children. That includes the other fraternities like Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Phi Beta Sigma, and Iota Phi Theta. And so I just want to say thank you all, and I'm excited to be here with you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sims. Ms. Aviles.
Yes. Hi, my name is Natalie Aviles. I'm currently still a student at Cal State LA, but I am graduating this semester. My major is political science with a minor in sociology law. I was recently working for a nonprofit named SoCalCan, which is Southern California College Access Network. And I was working as a policy and research assistant when I was working at the organization. And I actually attended Alhambra High School, which is not that far from Pasadena.
Oh. All right. Thank you, Natalie. And then Ms. Jamal.
Hi, my name is Inaya Jamal. I'm currently a sophomore at Howard University. Right now, unfortunately, because of COVID, I am studying back at home, but I'm a biology major, chemistry minor, and I'm planning on becoming a surgeon.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Mr. Turner.
How's it going? My name is Ron Turner. I am a graduate of the illustrious, the only one, the Florida A&M University, located in Tallahassee, Florida. I grew up in Gardena, California, along with Inglewood and South Central. I went to a high school called Bishop Montgomery High School, which is located in Torrance. I majored in computer science, so I spent the first 10 years of my career between software engineering and IT, but I've also been a DJ the whole time. So for the past 2.5 years, I've been a full-time DJ.
Oh, okay. And Ms. Horton.
Hi, this is new. I think you guys can hear me though. Hi everyone, it's nice to be here. It's really exciting to always just get to sort of know other HBCU alum and hopefully encourage some students to sort of consider it as well. I'm originally from Inglewood, California, live in LA now. I'm a graduate of Spelman College, class of 2012. I was a history major, which I think people poke a lot of fun about, but hopefully we can sort of talk about what sort of picking a major and just sort of enjoying your studies can look like when you're in school. So I finished at Spelman in 2012 and sort of got knee deep in politics and campaigns with the late Congressman John Lewis, President Obama, and somehow along the way went to grad school, and now I'm working in podcasting. So run a sort of boutique production house here in Los Angeles, working with creators and brands alike to bring podcasts to life that center Black stories and Black people and Black communities. So, so much of that came from my time at Spelman. So I'm excited to be here with you all, excited to share more about my experience, and yeah, on to, I guess, the next attendee.
Thank you, Horton. All right, Mr. Vernon, fellow Morehouse brother.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Davian Vernon. I'm from Victorville, California. I graduated from Silverado High School in 2008 and then transitioned to Morehouse College, where I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics in 2012. I moved back to California, and I'm currently working as an air quality inspector for the South Coast Air Quality Management District.
All right. I got my degree in mathematics as well. And Ms. Saunders.
Hi, everyone. My name is Briajni Sanders. I am a resident and fellow, just Compton girl, Hub City, everybody. I went to King Drew Medical Magnet here in Compton as well. I attended the illustrious Prairie View A&M University, where I study business management and marketing. I currently work in my field as a marketing coordinator for the Pacific Coast Regional Small Business Development Center, where I help small businesses get funding and just start them from the ground up, minority-based businesses here in Compton. So excited to be with you all today.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here, and we'll get right into the questions. First question is going to be around why HBCUs. So we know that sometimes HBCUs are heard as, they're not really in the general discussion about going to colleges if you're on the West Coast. So what made you choose HBCU to go to college?
I'll start if anyone else doesn't want to go. For me, HBCUs are a big representation of community, culture, and commitment. That's something that one of my advisors in college told me. Truthfully enough, I had no idea what an HBCU was when I was graduating high school. When I was able to hear about HBCUs for the first time, I just saw, a group of people from Prairie View actually wearing shirts, what happened to be the alumni community here. And they just seemed like they had so much fun. They just loved on each other. It was instantaneous that they were a big family, and I wanted that for myself. And of course, the Black Excellent portion played a huge role. I never even saw my campus before I attended it. I paid my money without letting my mom or father know at the time, and they were getting ready to take me to another university, and I said, oh no, I already paid to go to Prairie View. So yeah, HBCUs definitely give you that commitment and that foundation that you don't get. HBCUs for me is the family that you choose. So I chose well.
All right, thank you. Someone else like to jump in on that?
I'll speak on that. So for me personally, I had a long legacy of relatives who went to FAMU. So I didn't realize until this year, I guess the count right now is at 125 cousins, uncles, aunts, relatives from my mom's side alone who went to FAMU. Then my dad and his twin went there too. So it was, on one hand, it felt like I had no choice initially, but then around 10th, 11th grade, it was where I would visit schools around California and the feeling just wasn't there. My last time going to FAMU before actually making it as an undergrad student was probably 8th grade homecoming. And that experience was just amazing. It was 1997, and it was when FAMU actually was named the College of the Year by Time Magazine. So I remember that experience being so amazing to me that whenever I would visit the schools in LA, it could be Loyola Marymount, it could have been down in San Diego, UCSD, UCSD, San Diego. Basically felt like those were all nice campuses. The people there were friendly, but it didn't feel like home to me. And just going to FAMU, when I got to FAMU that first summer, I just know I made the right decision. It was about the camaraderie that we had with each other. It's funny because a lot of times people back in high school would tell me, going to a black college is not the real world because the real world is only 10% black. But you realize going to a HBCU that black folks are extremely diverse as well, especially coming from different cities. It is where us coming from LA versus the New York versus Atlanta, Chicago, from the accents, from the music to the fashion, we're extremely diverse, and you don't realize that until you get out of state to see it. So,
All
made
right.
the right choice with that.
Anyone any thoughts before I go to the next question? Anyone have thoughts on that one?
I just wanted to jump in kind of quickly because I actually transferred to Spelman. And so that was like a whole thing and a whole story that's perfect over dinner. And anyways, a much longer conversation. But so much of my desire to transfer was because here in LA, I went to a prep school, Harvard Westlake, for 6 or 7 years. And then out of high school, I went straight to Tufts University in Boston. And for me, academically, I never struggled in that way. So the academics came kind of natural and easy for me. I kind of pursued topics that I enjoyed, and I was super involved on campus, especially in my, first 2 years of undergrad. But I was fighting so much, a lot of the protests and things that we're seeing now within the country. I remember doing that on a micro level, at my university, right? Think about being 18, 19, you're just trying to enjoy college. You're trying to enjoy this special time in your life. And I just remember fighting all the time and organizing with other Black students and other Latino and Asian students, trying to get better. And I just sort of thought, where can I do this learning thing, right? In an environment where I feel a lot safer, where I feel as though I don't have to sort of defend my humanity all the time. And maybe I didn't have the language then, but I knew I needed to find another space to learn and thrive. And for me, it kind of got easily narrowed down to Spelman College. But I just want to give that perspective because we don't always talk about folks who transfer into HBCUs and the things that kind of push them into these spaces. And I'm so thankful I did.
Okay, thank you. I'm scared to admit, but I thought there was a Spellhouse College because I watch A Different World. That's how I learned about Black colleges, was from A Different World. You may not know that show, but it's with Lisa Bonet a long time ago. But, I didn't know about Black colleges also in California back in 93. So I'm glad you guys shared that. Thank you. There's been a common misconception about HBCUs and state colleges of being like the 13th grade. Some alumni have even stated that their college counselor kind of discouraged them from applying to a Black college or to a Cal State school. Did any of you experience any of that, anything like that?
I want to say I was really fortunate in having attended both an HBCU and a state school. One of the things about the misconceptions I think about college in general is that if you go to college with people it'll be just like high school. College demands a whole new person. I mean, you're not able to do what you did in high school. Academics may be easy, but socially there just is a different demand on you, and you become a different version of yourself. And so it's really helpful to have people because as you adjust and as you transition in, that really eased it for me. I graduated from high school early, and so I went to a community college first. And so that having people I knew helped. And then when I went to Clark Atlanta, there were people from Pasadena. There's a huge California club, and I'm sure most HBCUs have a pretty big California club. And so that really made the transition easy. And then at the state school where I did my master's program, there was just a different demand on my time, on my professionalism, my academic input. And so I think you can't listen to those people who tell you it'll be just like high school. Once you leave high school, nothing else is like high school. I think the social aspect of it also, and having to learn how to move in different circles, especially when you start encountering from different places. The slang you hear is different. The things that you may say in a manner that is kind of loving could mean something totally different to somebody from Detroit, and you don't know that. Or when somebody from Chicago starts calling you Joe, and you're like, oh, my name is Will, and you just don't know those things. And so I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that. But yeah.
With that, I could definitely agree with that. And as far as what they say about 13th grade, that implies that the academic level is lower. And what I've realized too is that just comparing the graduates of FAMU and HBCUs to my friends from high school in my neighborhood who didn't go to an HBCU, without being biased, the HBCU graduates are thriving a lot more career-wise. So especially my friends who stayed on the East Coast, New York, DC, Atlanta, and it's where, of course, LA has a different economy as well, so that makes it different. But when it comes to just pure success and what happened during undergrad and graduation, when it came to the internships that we got, the offers we got, my friends from FAMU, it proved that it's not about even going to, of course, Ivy League schools are some of the best schools out there, but I feel like when it comes to my friends who went to those versus HBCUs, we're at the same level now economically.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with thoughts about how their schools viewed before you got there and that change you might have saw once you got there?
Can I add on?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't go to a HBCU. I go to an HSI, so a Hispanic Serving Institution. But a lot of times there's a lot of misconceptions about Cal State LA, considering Cal State LA was like down the street from Alhambra High School, so a lot of students didn't really want to attend Cal State LA because they believed they wouldn't have the same college experience or they were going to see the same people from high school. And once you're in college, like someone mentioned, it's definitely like a different playground. There's different people that you socialize around, and you really don't get to see the people that you went to high school with, even if they're going to the same college as you. And you also learn how to just talk to other people and like other students from different cities in LA, students that came from Northern California or Southern California. And yeah, so there's just like a lot of misconceptions as well of going to a school that's like closer to home. You still do get that college experience, depending like how you involve yourself within the campus.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now Mr. Village kind of led into something, the transition to college. So you're in college right now. Can you tell us about that transition that you've made going from Alhambra to Cal State LA? And what was that like?
Yeah, so the transition at first from Alhambra High School to Cal State LA was actually really difficult for me because Cal State LA wasn't my first choice. I actually went there just because of like because of my financial aid. It was the one that offered me the best package. So at the end of the day, I had to decide to go to Cal State LA. So I was actually really upset I was attending Cal State LA since it wasn't my first choice. But within the transition, like what really helped me was really meeting people on campus. So I was really able to make strong connections with my counselor, my EOP counselor. I don't know if everybody here knows what EOP is, but EOP is an educational opportunity program for low-income first-generation students of color, and that program is offered for Cal State students. And that program really helped me transition from high school into college. And also just being by myself and learning how to be independent and really being able to navigate myself on the campus really helped me be able to discover myself and discover like the different things that the campus offered.
Okay, wonderful. And now going from being in California and going to a school close to home, can someone speak on that transition from being in California to going to the East Coast? So going from West Coast to the South, what is that like? What was the feeling? What was the adjustment to the culture? Can someone talk to me about that?
I'd like to jump in here if possible.
Okay. And then I got Mr. Jamal after that.
Okay. So where I live in California, if you've ever heard of Victorville, it's kind of out of the way. And so there wasn't really too much going on. Went to school, of course, got through my studies, and literally transitioning from the West Coast to the South was a huge culture shock for me personally, because I had never been to the South. I hadn't really been to many states outside of California, period. And it was a real adjustment for me too, because I'm also an only child. And so having to share personal space with another guy, as well as a communal bathroom, all of that took a lot of adjusting. But I'm thankful for the experience because it caused me to like grow and mature. It was an opportunity for me to come out of my shell, to forge new relationships, and to really adapt to my environment.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Jamal?
So Howard is literally on the next coast. It's on the East Coast. So I literally moved coast to coast, and that I'd be lying if I said that was easy. When my mom and my sister came and helped me move into my dorm, I literally cried the day that they left. It was hard, but like Briajanee said, you're people at HBCU, like that literally becomes your second family. Like the friends that I had, we did absolutely everything together. We would have sleepovers in our dorms. Like you think that it's going to be super duper hard, and it is when your family first leaves, when you first get there and you're in a new environment and you don't know what's going on. But everybody around you is going to help you to adjust. So honestly, you just have to take that leap. Like it's going to be hard to do, but once you actually do it, you're going to be so happy that you did.
Okay,
I would agree. I would like to touch on that just for a few
go
seconds.
for it.
One thing about my transition from obviously California, I moved to the South to go to school in Texas. Prairie View is also a little bit difficult to navigate because LA is a city environment, but Prairie View is in its own city. The only thing in the city of Prairie View is a gas station, a small grocery store that doesn't even sell produce, and the university. So it was one of those things where I was in a different state, in a different environment, in a different location, and different people. But from my very first day at orientation, Prairie View made me, my first time seeing my campus was at orientation. But everything from the structure of the university, how they made me feel. My particular school used to be a plantation, so we can't walk on our grass. It's just a lot of culture and history that happened, that they explain to you once you get there. We're even sectioned off as freshmen, which I believe every university should do. We're sectioned off immediately in the dorm that we are assigned by major, so we know who our allies are early on because we're in the same major. Once we get into those senior, junior level classes, we have our own shuffle. So everybody that came in my year, which was 2012, we have the PV16 shuffle. So your entire freshman class is doing that same dance. You're learning in a communal space. They have these little fake mocktails and parties and building challenges, and we got to know our pals, which are our Panther advisor leaders. Everything was such a communal space, and even our house moms, because we don't have the traditional RA, our house moms had the same majors as we did. So they took all these courses that we're taking right now. So they made it so that you have an ally as soon as you get on campus, and you had no opportunity to fail. If you failed, it was because you tried. You tried to fail, but Prairie View set you up for success. So I appreciate that transition. I probably didn't call my mom for the first 2 weeks, and she was like, "Are you okay? Are you alive?" And I was like, "I'm fine. I'm living my best life. I'll call you back." So I loved it.
Okay, wonderful. Anyone else like to share out? All right, so the next section is kind of like about campus activities and social life. That's a big part about getting on college campuses. And by the way, it wasn't Spellhouse, it was Hillman College. I was looking for Hillman College. But anyway, so how were you involved in your campus? And how did you get to know people, once again, when you got onto your campus? So tell us about that experience. How was that done? How did you form those relationships on campus?
So I will hop in. I was a member of the NAACP at my community college here in Pasadena, and that was one of the greatest bridges for me. When I got to Georgia, everybody from NAACP had already knew I was coming, and they put me to work as soon as I got there. So there was never an opportunity for me to feel homesick. Whether that was going to the office for lunch or people taking me to conferences, that was really helpful. I then became super involved in the national organization, and then also joining a fraternity. Alpha Phi Alpha is also the greatest fraternity in the world. If you didn't know that, but it is because it is a brotherhood. It is because you know that those times where I needed support academically, I could talk to brothers who had gone through my major, and it just connected me to a network of support. And then I was super involved in associated government. I always tell people, if you want to make change at your school, be involved in the way it's governed. And so I worked with the student trustee, as well as ran campaigns for a number of people who ran for positions. And so while I didn't serve, I worked heavily in the background to organize student government, which allowed me to have a lot of influence on day-to-day life and find money to pay for college, because it is very expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
I
for
would say like other ways to sort of like some sort of like what are some, I don't know what it looks like now during COVID, like how you sort of think about this as you sort of return back. But I kind of did just like the old school things. Like I just sort of like would go to like the administrator's office or kind of look at the community sort of like bulletin board, see what was of interest to me, when the meeting times for groups were. Sometimes there were friends who wanted to join me. Sometimes I went to those kind of like meetups or those group meetings solo, right? And it's sort of just like having a little bit of courage, trying new things out. You can always leave. You can always go back to your dorm, always go back to your apartment. Like you don't have to stay. But I think the cool thing about college is that there's so many choices and options that you do have. And so it's okay to sort of pencil in, okay, I'm going to meet the French club at this time. Student government meets, having an open meeting. Like you can just try a lot of things out and see how it works and meet folks that may be of like mind and like spirit as you. So I would say that was probably one of the more sort of like straightforward things I did. But I was involved with everything from like the French Club to student government at Spelman to sort of like other kind of like political and advocacy organizations. I wrote for the Maroon Tiger a couple of times because I just was interested. So I tried to do a lot of things. I would attend and started to kind of learn how to be an ally for queer students. Spelman. So I would go to those meetings as well. And like, it was really just to learn and like, just trying to do something different, right? I feel like that's what college is about. So if you have an interest, you have something that you're like, man, I've been really wanting to sort of pursue this or learn more about it. I think college is a really great time to sort of get involved with extracurricular activities. And I also worked as well, sort of like the person before me. So it was also kind of maintaining like going to school, having friends, and these kind of other things that you also want to pursue, whether it's a job or volunteer position or whatever else. But I say try out as much as you can and see who you meet along the way. I'm sure you'll meet some good friends, at least one, that you can kind of count on.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else want to jump on that question?
Yeah, I also wanted to add on to what you mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, just being involved on college on the campus is really also a great way to really network with other people, whether it's administration or just other people that you don't know may help you get a job. I was also involved with student government on campus, so I was in ASI. And while I was in ASI, I was able to serve as a civic engagement officer, and also sit on like different committees like the Legislative Affairs Committee, Lobby Corps, the board of directors, which really deals with a lot of the policy work that makes an impact on like day-to-day lives for students on campus and also like statewide. And from there, I was also involved like within Hermanos Unidos, which is a nonprofit organization on campus, which really helps with like advancing Latinos in higher ed. And what I really loved about that organization was it was mainly founded to help Latino men, because we also do have Hermanas, which is for Latinas. But both of them are very like diverse and really open to everybody. So it doesn't just cater to like one demographic or one gender. Especially now we know that times have changed and we have to be really open to everybody and really just be more diverse. And in my time in ASI, I was able to really connect with other people, and that really helped me with my career path and really be able to land like different opportunities and jobs. So I think that's also like some advice for incoming freshmen is like really just get involved, just really try to see what you really like and what you don't like. It's okay to not like one thing in an organization or a program that you're in. And also just like you also meet new friends, and they can also help you find like different organizations that you didn't even know about, because sometimes campuses, at least like for Cal State LA, like it was really hard to really know like what organizations and clubs were on our campus, because they don't really do a great job at really advertising that.
Mhm.
So that was something that was really difficult. But while I was involved within these organizations, I was really able to learn more about like Greek life and other organizations on our campus that were doing like similar work. And you also get to like collaborate with them and just make new friends like in different spaces.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. All right. So one of my favorite experiences from going to Morehouse was visiting other schools. And you normally visit other schools during something called homecoming week. So if that was like the best time of my life, pretty much on campus was homecoming week, and our travels up to Howard, where we'd lose the football game, but our band would win. But it was like just getting up to Howard was amazing. So can you talk about your homecoming experience and what's that like, and just share about homecoming?
I'll speak on homecoming. Let me see. So homecoming, I would say first of all that homecoming is a lot different as an undergraduate student versus being a graduate, and it's different at every school. And basically, we're all biased. We all think we have the best homecoming. It's where, of course, I always joke with my Howard friends and say that your homecoming is all celebrities and stuff, but ours is more of the homegrown fun. But either way, it's all jokes and fun. But I would say for us, freshman year homecoming, we look forward to that so much. I basically had all 5 outfits picked out a whole month ahead of time. I bought stuff when I was in LA before I moved to Tallahassee. Like, let me make sure I had this Laker jersey for Friday. I had this Dodger jersey for Saturday, so I already knew. And as far as the parties, it's funny how they would charge 10 and 15 back then, and that would be a lot to us because usually they charge 5 and 7, or it was free before 10:30. So we would save up all our money for the whole month just for that one weekend. So they already knew the weekend after that, all the parties were free because we spent our money for homecoming. But it was always so much fun having our friends from out of town come. And to me, that was the best recruitment tool, but it was just too late because all my friends from LA would come and visit me after my second and third year when I had my own space. But by that point, it was like, I wish I had came versus I'm coming there with you. So I wish they could have seen what it was early enough. But it was everything from the football game, which FAMU usually won. Our football team was a little bit, a little bit better than some of yours. But everything from that to the band battle, seeing us battle different schools was always an amazing time. And the thing about it, one part of that was even the culture shock of it being so safe because coming from LA, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, if it was a group of minorities, you just kind of had a fear in your heart, honestly, being in LA because LA had that type of culture. And at homecoming, my friends would be a little bit kind of nervous, but I would tell them it's different out here. They're party the whole weekend with no issues, no type of drama at all. So it was always the best time. And then going back as an alum is different. You go back and it's a little bit flossy. It's where you like to kind of stunt and show how much you've accomplished. So you usually spending the most for the hotels. Undergrads, you stay with your friend for free. As a graduate, you might spend $350 a night for a hotel, but it's like, all right, I could do it now. It's no problem. So you do that. You might get a rental car that you only use twice because you Ubering the whole time. The parties now cost 40 and 50 instead of just $5, but you got it now, so it's just no issue. So it's just the same things as elevated at that point. It's more of a reunion at that point. So it's about reconnecting with folks you haven't seen since undergrad sometimes. So that's where it is now.
All right, thank you.
For me, if I can jump in here, for me, homecoming gives me like Ron said, it is a definite difference between doing undergrad and doing it as a graduate student. As an undergrad, I did more of the networking thing at homecoming. So not only was I able to party with friends and tailgate, which is like the best time. Everybody has their individual tents. Everybody is dressed to the nines. I think my school is one of those fashion schools, so everybody's like Ron said, preparing those outfits. But that networking opportunity that you get, meeting alum, some people that I met during homecoming as a student again, who transitioned from California, I had a lot of out of state fees. During one of my homecomings in undergrad, I met a lady who actually did a lot for my particular department just by chatting it up and talking about barbecue and fish fries and crawfish, the whole southern thing. And she ended up giving me a scholarship to take care of the rest of the fees that I owed for that semester, particularly for me. And that was, for me, was like one of those homecoming moments. You can meet your significant other, you can meet someone who will help you in your career longevity. Like, it was so many moments to be had. Like, homecoming is the moments between moments that end up being the best moments. Like, homecoming just made me feel like, one, you're at home, you're on your campus, your camaraderie with your friends, your outfits, the band, food, whatever, everything is one of those things. But we also had our weekly activities like Panther Palooza. I was a part of the campus activities board, so I helped, figure out who was going to be our performer for our concert. We had snakes on campus. Hump Day. My particular university has a camel on campus that students can ride during Hump Day on that Wednesday for homecoming. So we just made it like, okay, midterms are over. Let's have some fun, enjoy yourself, but do it the safe possible way. So homecoming was definitely networking, but it was a lot of fun. Sleepless nights walking across campus, miles, it feels like, but you never get tired. So that was God.
Anyone else from her? I saw you, Jamal. You want to say anything about real quick? HU?
I have to. I mean,
Okay.
he said that every school thinks they have the best homecoming, but Howard actually does have the best homecoming. Everybody's heard of Howard homecoming. Come on now. But I just had my first homecoming last year, and honestly, that was probably the best life experience I've ever had. And I'm really depressed that we don't get to have one this year. But pretty much like Ronald said, what Briagene said, it's time for everybody to get together. There's a whole bunch of alum. Like my friend, we walked into our dorm and there was a lady who was just happening to give current students $100. Like, there's literally so many chances for you to get a scholarship, for you to make connections, and not even only during homecoming. Like, I'm pretty sure most schools, I know Howard does this, but most schools have Spring Fest, where pretty much the same thing happens. A whole bunch of alum come onto campus, and it's like a whole big party for a week. And honestly, that's one of the best things about going to an HBCU. Like, you get to see the expansion of your HBCU family, like all the people from all over the world, everybody showing their accomplishments, everybody showing their outfits. So honestly, it's really just a big show of Black success, in my opinion.
All right. No, I still, like, I think about homecoming, I get goosebumps thinking about homecoming. But now I'm going to transition to something else, which doesn't give me goosebumps. Financial aid and finances. So, Ms. Aviles, if you can talk to me, because I heard you say your financial aid package, and that's why you chose your school. Can you talk to us about your package and what that means, and how students can look at their packages?
So for me, thankfully I was able to be awarded a lot of grants in my financial aid. So all my 5 years in Cal State LA, I haven't paid like a single penny for my tuition.
Wait, say that again.
I haven't paid anything out of pocket for my tuition
Oh,
LA.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been very blessed in that aspect, and like I had mentioned before, Cal State LA wasn't my first choice, but they did offer me the best financial aid package. Within my package, I got like Cal grants. I also got the EOP grants. I got university grants. So I was really blessed on being given a lot of grants. But being a first generation student, it's really hard to be able to read your financial aid packages, especially since nobody at home was really able to help me with that. So like I said, like the counselors from the EOP program were really able to help me break down like my financial aid package and really just show me how it works and how it's distributed. Aside from that, I was also able to get money reimbursed from after they took money for the tuition, and I was able to use that for anything like books and my laptop. Yeah, but I did have to work to also pay for other personal expenses. Even though I was living at home, I did have to help my mom out with other things. But in that aspect, I was really blessed and really being able to have like my whole college really paid for.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. Also, Mr. Vernon, can you talk to us about, like, did you have to work and balance school, or how are you trying to finance college? And then everyone else can jump in after that.
So most of my expenses were out of pocket, but I was able to find scholarships through academics. Like they had a program called the ARC Scholars. Anybody who was a STEM major, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, if you had a GPA above, I believe it was 3.3 or 3.5, I don't quite remember, you were eligible, but you had to also do an essay and everything. So most of the funding that I got either came from scholarships that I was able to find after the fact, or I pretty much did every single tutoring program that Morehouse had to offer because I was a math major and I was always good at it. So it took me leveraging those skills to find a bit of income for myself, both for tuition and then also for my own fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What about the rest of you guys about financial literacy and having to pay for tuition and housing and books? And did you have an apartment? Like, talk to us about that situation.
I'll jump in here. Same as the gentleman before me, I paid a lot of things out of pocket. One thing I can definitely pride Prairie View on is they created a hustler out of me. Not only was Prairie View in the middle of nowhere, so getting to an actual job like a convenience store or something to work at was not feasible because of how far we were from things. So if there were events on campus, I would sew togas for the toga party. I would um, hem pants for the football guys so that they could dress nice for their games. Whatever it was that I can think of, makeup, hair, nails, I just was um, a whole businesswoman freshman year going through anything I can think of. Like, I don't even know how I got away with this, and if anyone is any advice, then don't tell. I used to like do counseling sessions, like peer mediations between like people in my dorm who had, you know, discrepancies or whatever. I did work a lot. I tried to do virtual jobs, even the stuff that I could find on campus. One rule of thumb that I do now, or that I tell people that are going to college, is apply, even if you don't qualify. There are a lot of scholarships and funds out there that they are not going to tell you. Some things you have to look for. And my biggest tip on not only just applying to anything that you see, but also become close, or build a rapport with not only your financial aid officer, but someone in your particular department. The dean of my university, who he and I are very close now, and the assistant dean, she and I are still very close, have been afforded to give me scholarships while I was in school and make a lot of connections for me post college. So apply to those scholarships, no matter what they are. If you are right-handed, left-handed, you have an interracial family, if you are coming from the South, a lot of anything you can think of, there's a scholarship for it. I applied for a Tom Turner scholarship, and that was 2,000 for my books. That came kind of unexpectedly because I just got into the habit of applying for scholarships. Just like the young lady said, she is able to get refund payments after her tuition and things are paid. Housing is also one of those debacles because it's separate from your financial aid. So just think of all the things that come into play. Again, I said I was a hustler because I actually was, and I do it now with ease. I had a boot on my apartment door because I had to pick, once I got paid or after I made this amount of money, was it going to go to the university for my tuition and fees, or was it going to go to the place that I needed to lay my head? So just to avoid those levels of confusion and animosity to where you can't focus on getting your degree and enjoying those social experiences, apply, even if you don't qualify. That is like my rule of thumb for everything.
All right. Anyone else had a job or work while trying to balance school with work and other things?
So I think
Oh, you got it.
I was going to say there's some really good things that I've learned about it in balancing those. If you have to work like I did, look, HBCUs and HSIs usually have Title I and Title V funds also available. Usually tied to those funds are student positions. Those positions pay higher than most jobs at, say, Foot Locker or something else. And so if you're a student at an HSI or an HBCU, you should look at those programs that your school has and apply to be a student worker there. I went to school a long time ago, and so at the time, making $15 to $20 an hour was a lot of money. And so that was my salary at the time, and it paid for everything. It covered the cost of all of my extra stuff, in addition to money we won from step shows and the parties that we threw. I think Briagene said, you have to hustle. You're going to have to hustle the rest of your life. If you want financial freedom, and I know Ronald as an entrepreneur will tell you, you have to hustle no matter what. That is one of the things that will get you far in life, is being able to ask those questions, not being afraid to put yourself out there. And so, I always encourage people to develop that elevator pitch, because you need to be able to say what you need, who you are, and why it's important that this person help you in 30 seconds. So those are really helpful things that pushed me through and helped me connect the funds. And then also, your network is always your net worth, right? And especially in college. So when you're at home in the summer, volunteering at those churches, going and maybe reading the students in summer reading programs and other things will help people in your hometown remember you. And so when you need to tap into money that possibly the school district or other organizations in your city have, they'll say, well, that's the person that volunteered. That's the young person that we can always count on to help set up tables or put on programs. And so that's also money that's going to be helpful as you look for grad school or undergrad.
Lastly, can I just say, reach out to the alumni association that's in your particular state, because I didn't even know about the scholarship that they send for students every year. They have allocated funds for students who are attending the university. So always check those alumni associations. You can be granted that money and not even be an alumni yet.
Okay. Now this question is for Ms. Aviles and Ms. Jamal, because you guys are current students right now. Can you tell me what your typical schedule looks like Monday through Friday?
I can go first. So I guess now with COVID,
Let's go before COVID, because COVID just throws everything off.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, because now with COVID, it's drastically changed.
Yes.
But before COVID, I was going to school, so I was taking about, 12. I was taking 5 classes, so I was a full-time student. I was also working, and I was also president of Hermanos Unidos. So I did have a lot on my plate. From Monday through Friday, I was just going to class. In my breaks, I was just doing homework or trying to study. And other days, I was really just working and attending meetings. But something that I found really helpful for me in balancing everything was really just using my planner. Just writing everything down, marking everything on my calendar, and just laying out everything so I can have a visual of what my day-to-day life looks like. And yeah, it was just really hard to like juggle like working and being president of an organization while also trying to do your studies. Especially now that I'm a senior, there's like more of a workload. But yeah, that's mainly like what my day-to-day looked like. And on the weekends, I didn't really have time off to myself either. It was just really catching up on other assignments or attending events that I had to go to for the organization that I was involved in. So when you're a college student, you're honestly busy 24/7. But it's also good to find time for yourself as well, because you do get burned out as a student, really trying to balance like work, assignments, and your extracurriculars. So it's really important to find that balance, and put in some time and invest time into yourself as well. So I think that's a piece of advice that I would give for students, is really just find time for yourself as well. Self-care is really important. As a college student, you're going to be burning yourself out. You're going to be stressing every day. And like everybody mentioned, you're really just hustling. Like college really just really teaches you how to become a hustler for the rest of your life. So just really being able to find that balance really just helps along the way, and like with other things that you're going to be coming across in your life.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Jamal?
So college is really all about time management. This is when you become independent. You don't have your parents there telling you, do this, do this, do this. It's all on you. So personally, my schedule was not that bad before COVID. You do pretty much get to choose when you want to have your classes. So spring semester, I actually didn't have any classes on Monday and Friday. which was actually really great for me because it gave me more time to do my homework. Over the weekends, I always had a 4-day weekend. So if I wasn't getting work done during the week, I made sure that I spent time using those extra days to do my work. So really, it is what you make it to be. If you're creating your own schedule, you know what you can take. At Howard, being a full-time student is taking 12 credits. For me, I have to take at least 15 to keep my scholarship, but I never want to take the minimum because you never know, like, if you're gonna want to drop a class. Because if you drop a class and you drop below having full-time student credit hours, that's absolutely horrible. You don't want that to happen. So you never want to do the bare minimum, but you never want to give yourself too much. My first semester I actually had 20 credits, and I did not know how much 20 credits was until I was actually doing it. I did get through the semester and I passed, but I knew like I would probably never do that again. So really, you have to know yourself and know what you're able to handle. Being in college is all about independence and like pretty much learning more about yourself. So creating your schedule, time management, all of that is going to help with that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vernon and Ms. Horton, you guys, Morehouse and Spelman, can you guys tell me what was the greatest experience living on campus?
Okay, my answer is probably not going to be what people are expecting, but I transferred in. So I transferred in starting my junior year. So I did my first 2 at Tufts University, my last 2 at Spelman. So by the time I got to Spelman, I was used to living by myself on campus, but having kind of like seniority status, right, as a sophomore, at Tufts, coming into Spelman junior year. So I had a roommate the first semester on campus, and it was fine. I think at that point you kind of learn also like, I think one of the things about college, you kind of learn how to negotiate space and like, okay, sleep patterns. I'm up at these hours. Cool. Are you bringing guests over? Like you have to have those kind of like serious, more like adult conversations when you're sharing space with someone. But I only stayed on campus one semester and then moved off campus. But I mean, you have kind of like all the kind of gear that, you'll get and purchase, right? Your shower caddy and this or that. But I think my I had kind of like those typical college experiences with roommates where like it really always wasn't that good. It was always something happening. But I think my time in Spelman that one semester, it was pretty peaceful. And that's because we just were very honest and open about how we wanted to use the space and like what we kind of were, expecting from the other person. But I didn't have any crazy, typical classic hilarious Spelman sort of like housing experience. But I think it's because I transferred in. So pretty normal roommate experience and then moved off campus.
Mm-hmm.
I would say one of my most memorable experiences actually happened in my freshman year. So I stayed in a dormitory called Graves Hall, and it's one of the historic buildings on Morehouse's campus. And I didn't know this before I got there, but every year for Halloween, Graves Hall would literally do like a haunted house. So we got to dress up in costumes, help decorate the dormitory and everything. And it was just such a fun experience. And there was so much camaraderie, very, very good memories, very positive memories from that experience. And they actually still do it. Mm-hmm. Well, not this year, but,
Yeah, a fun fact about Graves Hall, when I was at Morehouse in 1993, that was the only dorm that had air conditioning. And that was very important at the time. So yeah. All of them have air conditioning now at Morehouse, so please don't feel like Morehouse doesn't have air conditioning. But back then, we did not have air conditioning in all the dorms, but they do now. So shout out for getting air conditioning in all the dorms. So I want to thank all of our panelists. Really appreciate your time. Before we end, though, I would like you guys to I'm going to time you. You get 1 minute. And that 1 minute, you're going to share one piece of advice that not only will get a student into their college, whether it be a HSI or HBCU, but what's going to help them to graduate. So I'm going to time you. You will have a minute, and you're sharing a piece of advice that's going to help student not only get into HBCU or HSI, but to graduate from those institutions. So who wants to go first?
I'll start.
Right.
So,
you ready, Sorter? Go.
Okay, let's do it. So basically, it's all about being focused as you can. It's going to be a a challenge at first because it's your first time without having your parents there to wake you up. I don't know how you all are, but I was the type that had my mom waking me up, even if I was already awake, telling me to get up. So there's knowing how to focus and knowing how to actually, some mornings you don't feel like getting up for class. Some mornings we're not used to it being too cold or too hot. So it's about forcing yourself up on those early mornings when you do have to make it to class. And even those mornings after those parties you go to, just knowing how to actually lock in and realize you don't want to take any of these classes over, and you don't want to get to the point when you do graduate and look back and say that you could have done better. When you start applying for grad schools and everything else, you don't want to have a lower GPA than you should have because of those days you just didn't have the focus. So it is a hard thing to do, but just make sure you stay locked in and you can still enjoy yourself. It's not where you have to even pick and choose party or study. Just find that balance, find that delicate balance, and you'll be good.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, who's going next?
I can go next.
Go for it.
And a piece of advice that I would give students is just really be determined and motivated. And really just find a space or a community on your college campus that's really going to motivate you throughout your 4 years, 5 years that you are on campus. You have to have those friends that are like down to like go party with you, but are also going to be like, okay, like we need to get this done, like we need to get these A's. So honestly, just really finding a sense of community on your campus and a sense of belongingness really just motivates you to really graduate and get your stuff done. So really just being involved and just having self-motivation as well, because there's no one that's going to be holding your hand telling you, oh, you need to do your assignments. Like, no, it's all about like self-determination and self-motivation.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. All right, who's going next?
Along with what Natalie said, you're really self-motivating yourself. So I personally, I set personal goals for myself, so I know what I need to get done. And also, like, you can always still have fun. Like, it doesn't have to be all work. It doesn't have to be study. Like, you can do both. You just have to find that balance. And one of the most important things is, of course, time management. You don't have somebody telling you what to do all the time. So you just have to find within yourself that focus and that motivation, and you can most definitely graduate with a 4.0. It's definitely possible.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, who's going next?
I'd like to jump in.
Go for it.
My one piece of advice is to find 2 mentors that are attached to your major. One professor in your department and one upperclassman that's also in your department. The reason why I was able to graduate in the position that I did was because I had both of those in place to help me navigate through each of my 4 years. It's good to have a professor because they will be able to connect you to research opportunities, grants, scholarships, the works. But it's also good to have a student mentor to help you know which professors to take, which professors to avoid. That is very, very critical.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Next.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would say my advice is think about what kind of college experience you want. Like, I feel like looking back, especially someone who transferred, who's had like 2 different college experiences. I think if I had more conversations with my mom, with my family about like, what are things that I really want to sort of like experience? What are sort of like type of subject matters I want to explore? Like, how do I want to feel on campus? Like, what are the kind of social experiences that I want to have? And I think like, we all know we're going to have a good education. Like, you're going to go to a good school, right? Regardless of what level it is. If it's a trade school, it's a 2-year, if it's a 4-year, if you end up at an HBCU or HSI, like you're going to have a good, solid educational experience under your feet. But it's all the additional stuff that I feel like really make the experience. And we say it's like the social stuff, the soft stuff. But I think that those are the things that really sort of may speak to you and like what you're interested in, the person you're interested in becoming. And I know it kind of sounds a lot of woo-woo, but that's really what college is. Like, where do you think you're going to be able to grow in the best way possible? What's not going to make the sort of huge sort of like financial sort of like impact that's going to really sort of cramp you? Like, there's a lot of things to consider. And so I would just say, like, spend more time thinking about that, but also kind of having that same approach as you navigate college as well. Like, what are the subject matters that you find yourself the most interested in, right? Like, I feel like I switched majors all the time in my first 2 years because I wanted to try so many different things. I think that's a good part about college. So kind of having that same approach and being open-minded, asking questions, seeking out opportunities or classes or relationships that you think will be helpful for you or help you to learn more or grow more. And so I say just kind of take those 4 years or your 2 years, whatever program you end up doing, to really soak up this time, right? Where you kind of are kind of in this in between, childhood and adulthood. It's a really special place to be, to try and test out a whole bunch of cool stuff, interesting stuff, say you don't like stuff. And so I say just explore as much as you can without, jeopardizing like your GPA and like finances, but try to explore as much as you can and you'll figure out what's best for you, but kind of like just focus on you.
All right, thank you. All right, who's on next?
I can go ahead and go.
Go for it.
Awesome. So I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. My thing is figure out who you are for yourself, not who your parents want you to be, not who the Greek organization that you're trying to be a part of wants you to be. Figure out what it is that you want to do, who you are for yourself and yourself alone, and never waver on that, as well as realize what your why is and bet on that 100% of the time. It's not on you, it's in you, as we all know here in LA. And then a shameless plug is the HBCU Hub app. If you do not know what school you want to go to, pick a major, put in a profile, a portal. They are literally doing pre-approval, and it's probably the best invention for anybody that wants to attend a HBCU. I wish I had it when I was getting ready to go to college. You can't beat that pre-approval. So HBCU Hub app, download it on your phone, iOS, and Android, and it's free.
All right. And last but not least, Brother Sims.
So I always tell people this, and this is something that guides me. You have to have a really tight process by which you make decisions. And if you can refine that constantly throughout your life, it's going to help you choose the things that are best in any situation. And so with college, as well as when you leave, constantly refine your decision-making matrix or your decision-making process, because though we decide things every day, but we don't think about why, and we don't think about the things that it will lead to. And so if you can get yourself in the mindset of if I make this decision, then what happens? What are the outcomes of it? And you constantly look at that perspective or use that frame for how you view what you do, whether that's which party to go to, which class to take, which job to pursue. All of those things will help you through life. So a really tight decision-making matrix is helpful, and it's going to make you want a very critical thinker and push you to another level in life. So I would say find your community and love yourself. Like you said, Briagene said, it's in you, not on you. So.
All right. Well, once again, I want to thank the panel for being here. You guys did an amazing job. I wish that when I was, like Briagene said, I wish I heard this while I was thinking about schools. But I'm just so thankful for you to give up your time and your energy to help our students in not only our district, but just in surrounding districts. So thank you again.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Go Tournament of Roses also.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you all.
Go Rattlers.
Thank you guys.
All right. Brother Sims. Hey, thank you, Mr. Vernon.